Good Monday morning. Well, actually, it's Tuesday afternoon. It's been an interesting weekend. I was sick. Don't feel sorry for me, just a bad cold. But I was sick all weekend and all day yesterday. So I'm doing Monday Matters on Tuesday afternoon. And because I'm trying to make up for lost time, I'm doing it behind the steering wheel of the car. But I am parked, so I'm being safe as I do this. Every Monday or Tuesday afternoon, I take a minute to talk about something that I think is helpful. As I say, hopefully will help you live a happier, healthier, and holier life, and then talk about it via Instagram and Facebook through the course of the week. And so this is Monday Matters, coming to you live and in person on Tuesday afternoon. Hope you had a great, blessed holiday, a good Halloween, and a beautiful holy day on the Sabbath. And now you're in the middle of your, or at least early in your work week. I want to talk about kind of following this theme of stewardship. Our pastor is beginning a series of messages in the month of November on stewardship, and I thought, well, I'd kind of like to follow that theme a little bit. He's doing such a great job. I'm excited about what he has to say. You can actually tune into familywc.com and after the fact, listen to his messages. He's a great young preacher, pastor, and you'll enjoy that. But today, stewardship. One of my favorite stories is found in Old Testament stories is found in 1 Samuel chapter 16. It's the story of the anointing of David to be the next king of Israel. Saul has been king. He's displeased God, and God says we need to make a change. So he tells Samuel to go to the house of Jesse, and from Jesse's sons to anoint a king. You remember that story? Jesse brings his sons out one at a time. Eliab, he's tall, handsome, good-looking kid. Samuel thinks he'd look great in kingly robes. He's the one. God says man looks on the outward appearance. God looks on the heart. This is not the one. Abinadab, he is great personality, just outgoing. He's going to get along with other kings well. Nope, that's not the one. Shammah comes out, great intellect. Nope, that's not the one. One by one, he goes through Jesse's sons, and God rejects every one of them. Samuel says to Jesse, "Are this all your sons?" And Jesse says, "Well, I have one more, David, but he's out tending sheep. He's the runt of the litter." And Samuel says, "Well, wait, go get him." They go get him. God says, "This is the one." Samuel anoints him. And you know the end of that story, that David goes on to become the greatest king that Israel's ever known. Great warrior, great leader, amasses more wealth. Israel is stronger under David's leadership than at any other time in its history. That story reminds me of what happens when God calls someone and that someone is willing to surrender their lives to him. Now, David messes up, you know that story, but God still says of David, even after he messes up, God says he's a man after my own heart. And so I want to just point out three things. And I give credit to this to my friend Dale McCarver. He shared a devotion on this years ago, probably 40 years ago. He might not like me telling his age, but 40 years ago. And I remembered these words, and all these years it stuck with me. And I enjoy Dale McCarver's writing. He's now a professor at Austin Peay State University. But these three things out of this story. Number one, God chooses who he uses. God chooses who he uses. He puts his hand, and his choice might not be our choice. You might look at you and say, I would not pick me. I would not choose me. I don't have anything to offer God. God chooses who he uses. He places his hand. He's the one that says, I want you. And that's our responsibility to respond to that call. You know the old cliche, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call. God chooses you to serve him and to surrender your life to him. Number one, God chooses who he uses. Number two, God uses who he chooses. He will use you. If he chooses you, he will use you. For what? I don't know. His plans are not our plans. His ways are not our ways. But he does say, I know the plans I have for you, plans to bless you and prosper you. And my idea for you today is that God has chosen you, and he's going to use you if you will surrender yourself to him. D.L. Moody says, it remains to be seen what could happen if one man would totally surrender himself to God. God chooses who he uses. God uses who he chooses. And here's number 3, God blesses our messes. We don't have to get it right. David didn't get it absolutely right. Listen, if I know anything, I know that I can make a mess of stuff. I am an expert at one thing, and that's really messing up my life. But God takes even our messes and uses them for incredible good, for his glory, and for our benefit. And I sincerely believe if you are willing to say, God, here I am, take me, use me, do with me whatever you want, at the end of the day, at the end of the story, you will look back and say, man, God has blessed me in ways that I cannot begin to imagine. He takes our messes. You remember the story at the end of Genesis when Joseph says to his brothers, you meant this to me for evil, but God meant it to me for good. So here's my admonition to you today. God has chosen you. He will use you, and he'll bless your messes. All you have to do is offer them up to him with open hands. God bless you. Have a great, great day. You are chosen. You're going to be used. And and you'll probably make a mess of things. That's a great way to end, isn't it? Good Monday Matters. I will talk to you next week. Tune in every day to Instagram or Facebook and see just a little thought or idea about this. And thanks for being here today.